This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Cassie, ready when you are.
I'm ready to go.
All right. All right, I'm going to call to order the May 9th Conservation Commission meeting for Easthampton. The meeting is being recorded. If there's interruption with the online portion of the meeting, the in-person meeting will be terminated and everything will be moved forward to the next meeting. All right, so public concerns, non-agenda items?
I've not received any.
Okay. So first public hearing is the request for determination of applicability. Right, Ostermeyer. I see people that are here to speak to that.
Yeah.
Could you introduce yourselves?
Sure.
For the record.
My name is Emily Wright. I am a landscape architect and principal at Wright Ostermeyer Landscape Architects, and I'm representing the homeowners of the property, Daniel Russell and Elizabeth Russell.
Okay. You have some drawings you want to share with us, or do you want to go over the outline of the process?
Is anyone able to hear us if we sit here while we talk, or is there a preferred spot for us?
Nope, I believe that's fine.
Okay. Okay.
Can the folks online hear Cassie, or do they need to be closer to this mic?
See, people online, can you hear public attendees speaking? Is that good? We're getting a wishy-washy. Some people could be helpful if you're willing to sit up here.
Sure.
That could be helpful.
Okay, great.
Everyone can you. Dan, I'll let you go ahead.
Okay. Good evening,
Good evening.
and thanks for hearing our proposal tonight. I'm Dan Russell. My wife Beth and I moved to 17 Reservation Road in February 2003, 19 years ago. And the house was new construction that we purchased from the builder. And when the snow cover melted in March, we realized that our lot was basically scraped clean. And that was a great thing. We've been birders for many years. We're very active in Mass Audubon and have a strong interest in conservation. So we saw this as a great opportunity to create an outdoor space that's with native plantings, minimal lawn, and an attractive water feature where we could enjoy nature outdoors. And it's been certified by the National Wildlife Federation as a backyard wildlife habitat. And in the 19 years since then, the plantings have become too overgrown to manage. Routine maintenance is not effective in handling it. The water feature is filled with leaves and algae and poses a potential risk to wildlife and any children who might fall in it, especially in the wintertime. We'd like to remedy these problems and refresh our yard in an environmentally sensitive way to enhance our enjoyment of the property. And we've asked Wright Ostermeyer Landscape Architects to help with that project, and Emily will discuss the plans.
Great. Thank you, Dan. I'd like to start with context plans. Cassie, do you mind pulling up the USGS map in the package? Thank you. So that way the online folks can see, like everyone else can see as well. So 17 Reservation Road, hopefully you'll be able to see this on the large screen as well, is here where this red dot is. So this is East Street, and Reservation Road runs up Mount Tom, and Dan and Elizabeth live right at the base of the mountain, just to give you some context. I'd like to show you. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind going to the photos next. Thank you. Okay, that's really helpful. Thanks, Kathy. So these are some photos of the existing conditions. The water feature that Dan mentioned is shown in the lower left, and Some of the existing stairs that are on site are also shown in these photos, and the stairs have sort of settled. The timbers have settled and the stones have as well, so they're not even, they're not a very safe walking surface. And for that reason, we'd like to replace the timbers, reset the stone to create a level walking surface. And this stair that's on the right-hand side, we'd actually like to remove that and locate it in a more convenient, usable place for Dan and Beth. And Cassie, if you wouldn't mind scrolling down. This is a view of a small lawn area in their backyard surrounded with native plantings. You can see the water feature that Dan described to the left. And many of the shrubs in this area become overgrown. The lawn isn't really lawn anymore. It's mostly moss. So it's difficult to maintain, it's difficult to access. So they'd really like to remove the lawn and not have any lawn at all in this area. So now I'd like to transition to taking a look at plans. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So these are use the cookies as a paperweight. Perfect. So just to orient you, this is Reservation Road. So Mount Tom is up this way. And this is Dan and Beth's driveway, the footprint of their house. And you can see this area is primarily open and lawn. The area right around their house is maintained as a woodland garden. And then just beyond that is a naturalized woodland. And that's the location of a stream. And we've tried to measure the stream location relative to their house and also using Easthampton GIS, but it hasn't been field surveyed by a licensed surveyor. So the stream location is approximate. The area where Dan and Beth would like to do some maintenance is this area directly behind their house. This is the water feature we were showing you in those photos, small lawn area. This is one of the stairs that we'd like to replace. This is one of the stairs we'd like to remove, and I'll show you where we'd like to relocate that stair. Just for reference, this outline is sort of the area where we plan to do maintenance and make it. So in this plan, we've shown the things that would need to be removed to make the improvements that we'd like to make. So there are a couple of trees that would need to, some shrubs that would need to be removed. Thank you, Dan. And we're also proposing to remove the water feature, remove this lawn area, and create a smaller, more compact, easier to maintain landscape for Dan and Beth to enjoy. Thank you. So in this plan, we're showing what Dan and Beth would like to do in their backyard. So the lawn area has gone away. We've replaced that with a small gravel terrace. So that's much smaller in size than the lawn area had been. This stair, the stair that was here previously, we're relocating here. They have sliding doors here that they use frequently, so that would allow them easier access. We're removing the lawn path so that they don't have to try and get a mower down in this area. And we're replacing the shrubs and the trees that would be removed. Just to give you some sort of summarizing numbers about what's being removed, what's being replaced. The existing lawn area to be removed is about 785 square feet. The new proposed gravel seating area would be 297 square feet. We're removing 4 ornamental trees, and we're replacing those trees with 2 new ornamental trees and 2 evergreen trees. Removing about a dozen shrubs that have become overgrown and replacing them with nearly 22 shrubs that would stay smaller and wouldn't pose the same maintenance problem over time as the shrubs we're removing. So any questions that you might have, we're happy to answer.
These are all native plants that you're intending to put back in.
That's correct.
You mentioned that the other day.
That's been really important to Dan and Beth throughout this process.
What are the size and species of the trees to be removed?
The size and the species of the trees to be removed. I don't know that we have the size much. But we certainly have the species. One of them is a crabapple that I think has maybe a 3-inch caliber, so an older crabapple. Another, and that's this tree. And then 2 amelanchier would be removed here. They're multi-stemmed, and each stem is probably about an inch in diameter. And then there is a dead tree, which I'm not sure what the species or size is.
Might be an elm.
An elm.
Yeah.
But it's very clearly dead.
And we would replace the amelanchier with 2 new ones.
Do you happen to have like a detail sketch for the gravel surface or not yet?
No, not yet.
Would you anticipate that rainwater would infiltrate through it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We're imagining that surface would be 3 to 4 inches of fine crushed stone, no like plastic or anything like that.
Okay.
I think that and that's all going in existing maintained lawn, correct?
That's correct.
So I think they would fall under the exemption for minor activities in buffer zone and riverfront, right? Because you can convert lawn to like a deck, and I think this is essentially the same thing.
Yeah, correct.
So I don't think that poses any issues.
Yep.
Um,
I tend to agree.
And as far as the tree removal, it seems like the dead tree, if it's larger and an elm, might have been the only one that was part of the forest per se. The others sound like they were clearly planted.
Well, we do have one, healthy elm, believe it or not, which is quite tall, it's like 40 feet, right in that area with the amelanchier. For some reason, it's surviving.
That's not to be removed. That's staying.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Do you need to get in here with any equipment to do this project?
That is a question for the contractor. I don't specifically know the answer to that. It's a relatively difficult space to access, so I would guess nothing larger than a bobcat would be used back there just because it can't fit.
So how much ground disturbance would really occur? You'll be removing some, balls and some stumps for the trees you're removing. I guess the real thing I'm trying to get at is how much potential of runoff of a rainstorm is going to wash something back towards that stream. That's all.
Right. So the tree removal would obviously cause some disturbance of the soil and relocating. The stairs. There would also be some slight grading adjustments associated with that. We're happy to ask the contractor to provide erosion control.
Right. That's all. We're probably, if there's going to be some kind of disturbance that's left over for any period of time, that we'd probably want something there just to protect that stream.
Sure.
And just to clarify, this is a perennial stream with 100 and 200 foot riverfront area, as far as we know.
Good question.
Or is that unknown? That is
I
unknown.
can share my site visit pictures here in a second. So when we did the site visit, one of the things was to figure out, is this stream jurisdictional? Because it's happened before where there isn't like a wetland headwaters, but it's not. So we followed it up mountain, and it comes to, I guess it's probably easy to share it now.
Mhm.
And it basically comes to this kind of outlet, and then above that is a reservoir of some kind that's like a man-made structure. But the way that the man-made structure had an outlet that was kind of facing down and out directly, and then the outlet that had water actually, creating the stream was coming from a totally different direction. And it seemed unlikely that it was orienting from this reservoir. And its, origins above that were unknown. I couldn't find anything that it was seemingly coming from. And I confirmed further that the reservoir isn't the source still, because I asked the DPW and they said that they're working to decommission it officially, but they don't use it anymore. It's shut down. It's not something that would be used water. So I'll share these. I'm sharing these pictures now. This is kind of around the house, but it's all right. I'll start with the reservoir. We can come back to these if we kind of zoom through until I get to the upper stream area. But to me, I would think that it's likely that it's not jurisdictional because it seems to just spring from the mountain, and then there weren't any wetlands around it until you get down kind of where close to where this property is. So here.
Do you happen to know if you had a permit from the Conservation Commission for the original construction of their residence? By
I'm
any
not aware,
chance?
I don't know.
Okay.
I tried to look too, and I don't know that we have anything on file.
Hmm.
I don't know it doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't permitted. It just may not be complete. Okay, so this is kind of the stream area below. This is not your house. That's not 17 Reservation Road. This is going to follow it back up. Their backyard, water backyard. So we're at the point where it crosses the street instead of coming up the mountain. So I believe we're above your property now, but trace it back up to here. It goes into the street. And it comes, that's where it came in. We kept going up the mountain here. And it was just predefined channel. Oh, geez, that is unfortunate. Okay, so down here, you can see my cursor all, which you really can't. But to the right of the screen, you can see the slope. It was a predefined channel. This is the outlet that seemed to be the source of the water. I couldn't find anything above this. And then to the right was the reservoir. You can't really see it from here, but basically the water seemed to be coming from the opposite direction of the reservoir. This is looking down, standing above the outlet. It's a defined channel. This is the reservoir. It's kind of like this topped, capped tank situation. This is looking down. There you can see in the very center of the screen is the outlet. And I'm standing on where the reservoir is essentially zoomed in on it. And here's the outlet to the reservoir that I could find, which is capped off. So all that suffice to say that I think it's not jurisdictional.
Okay.
About at least so.
So I guess, so my question is it kind of like, is it perennial or intermittent? But what you're saying, Cassie, is that it may not be jurisdictional at all, possibly?
Yeah, kind of similar to like recently, reviewed other projects that were kind of in that area and coming off downtown. One of them was on Mountain Road. I don't remember that. It was very clear stream, but it just wasn't jurisdictional at all. They moved through the whole line. So this one, I think that when it does reach your property, it does become DPW. There's wetlands down in the yard, within the property, but I think this is all within the 100-foot buffer zone is what I would say. And I can go back to some pictures if you want to see that again.
I guess so. Since we don't have our walking regulations with us anymore, I guess.
You're
looking at them. Okay.
I just want to remind myself of the exact wording of reading it, wetland use.
Yeah.
So I can go through these pictures too, this is actually where the work is going to be done. So leading down, the house is to the right, to the door there. This is kind of immediately beyond the lawn area. These are the stairs to be removed. This is the lawn area. There's that water feature on the left. See it? Now we're kind of just circling around the lawn area. Water feature left. These stairs are to stay, or are these ones? Okay. There's all the stairs below that. And then this leads over to the other stairs to be fixed or replaced. Correct. Stairs. And then the new stairs will be in this location, probably standing on that, and descending down below. Stairs to be removed. Now we're looking like into the rest of the yard that's not.
Is the stream shown on the USGS map?
Stream stats?
On the USGS map?
I think not. The topo map, is that what you mean? Double check.
It's not shown on there,
It's
but
not
it
shown.
is shown on the local Easthampton chart.
Yes, it's shown on that.
Yeah.
Sam, do you know if it runs year round?
It has for 19 years.
It looks pretty substantial, and I believe, I'm not 100% certain of this, but I believe that the upgradient wetland rule applies only to intermittent streams.
I see.
So if it's perennial, then it would be jurisdictional.
I see.
Does that sound right? That ring bell?
That does
So
not
it
ring a
reads-
bell with me,
The
but
stream definition reads that such a body of water, or such a body of running water which does not flow throughout the year, i.e. which is intermittent, is a stream except for that portion of gradient of all bogs, swamps, wet meadows, and marshes. So I
yeah,
take to mean that that only applies to intermittents.
I would agree.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we need to consider it jurisdictional.
Yeah, so I guess in that case, we could look at a negative determination. Do you have,
Number three, do we have any conditions we want to?
I think that's that folder of like form for you.
Conditions we want,
well, so one of the categories doesn't allow conditions.
it's number two.
So 3 does not allow conditions.
Okay, so negative determination, 3 should be the one with conditions. Negative determination 3 should.
Oh, yeah.
that
Oh,
should be
yeah,
the
you're
one with
right. Okay.
Conditions.
Do you have any expectation that there will be disturbance for getting equipment in that would be outside of existing maintained landscaped areas?
Don't think so. We plan to do, so there's not enough space here to bring in equipment. So any equipment would come in from this side, and there's already a cleared trail along this side of the house. So we would utilize that to do the work in this area, but not creating anything new.
And no need to remove any trees or alter trees along this line to get machines in?
If you're removing the steps and the stones, are you taking them away or are you,
I believe the plan is to reuse the stone.
Reuse them for the
Is that
new
right,
stair,
Dan?
yeah.
The plan is to reuse the stone and to replace the timber treads that are no longer in solid condition.
So, Julie, do you recall if the riverfront area lawn exemption, is it an exemption?
I think so.
Okay, so,
I can double check.
Yeah, I can pull it down, because I think that's the case.
so I guess, so if it's within riverfront area and it's not exempt, then we'd be picking a negative determination number 2, which does not allow conditions. But if we're saying that it would be exempt, then they would just be in the buffer zone, and it could be a 3, and we could add some conditions on it. Les, can you check 2 boxes?
No. No.
Okay.
The only condition that I can think of at the moment would be erosion protection.
Yep.
If someone else has something else to,
Erosion protection and 48-hour,
48, not the standard terms and conditions, which would be 48-hour notice and things
Yep.
like that.
8-hour pre-construction notice.
Right, so the exemption specifically reads. Is it actually an exemption? That was your question. Hang on. Yeah, it is an exemption. It reads conversion of lawn to uses accessory to a residential structure such as decks, sheds, patios, pools, replacement of a basement bulkhead, installation of a ramp, blah, blah, blah. Provided that the activity, including material staging and stockpiling, is located more than 50 feet from the mean annual high water line within the riverfront area. And erosion and sediment controls are implemented during construction. But are we 50 feet away? Becomes the question.
No, this is 20 feet here, so maybe 40 feet from the edge of the patio, from the mean high water mark. That's a quick guess.
Then we can do a type 2 negative determination and just ask nicely for erosion controls, I guess.
It's not a steep hill or surface.
Yeah.
It's pretty flat.
Yeah,
It's going to get opened up and closed up probably pretty fast also.
yeah. To me, it seems like, a reasonable thing to do with the area. It's just a matter of figuring out which box to check.
Right.
But I think we can't consider it fully exempt if it's within 50 feet, which would push us towards the box 3, right?
But I think it would be box 2. Just saying that in the area, but
Is,
not.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. I think you're right, yeah. But it does require, within the exemptions, it does require use of sediment and erosion control, so that's sort of baked in.
Oh,
Okay.
So we're kind of covered there. And then I think we can just ask nicely for a 48-hour pre-construction notification.
I think that's very, very doable.
Okay. Sounds good.
Would you like to make that motion?
I'll move to issue negative determination number 3 for work described in the request is with,
To
negative determination number
Negative.
2. Work described is within an area subject to protection, but will not remove, fill, dredge, or alter that area, and does not require filing of a notice of intent.
Is there a second?
Second,
A roll call vote, Ms. August?
Aye.
Mr. Buttrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Busa,
Aye.
and Commissioner Whitmore.
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
All right. Can we just check the box and sign this and then be done? Wow.
What we get to sign?
I didn't sign anything and, well, this is bored. All right, so we're doing a number 2, right?
Choose, so no other description.
And if you guys don't mind to wait, I can copy this right now, give you your physical copy, and then you're good to go. Everyone else is mine, right? Shouldn't take too long.
I get to make fun of Jill's signature.
So I spent too long.
This is the last time we did this.
That's a long time. Well, yeah, at least.
And I will be right back.
Thank you so much for your
No
time.
problem. Thank you.
Really appreciate
Good
it.
night.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Where that reservoir is covered with the covering.
Not out in the middle of the woods like that.
No.
It's a lot of gremlins out there in the world when you start really looking. I mean, sure, I've seen like a lot of those, but usually they're active and maintained and, you know.
Pretty nice. They kept the road paved and cleared,
Mhm.
grew the pond, and we saw this white covering. Like, what's going on up here?
That's strange. I don't know. I'm not even sure I've heard of an old tank or reservoir up there before, but
There's rights of way to get to it and things like that
yeah.
from
I
the
think
water
I've done the
department.
maps before. I'm like, what is that? Tired.
I'm all set. No, I'm starting to have a diabetic attack over here. All right, maybe one.
Maybe what could go wrong?
I'm a sucker for like the buttered popcorn ones. Oh yeah,
Write them all out and sort through them.
you get like the cookbook and it says, you know, make a blueberry muffin one, pick a blueberry one, a buttered popcorn one, or
Sit there in meetings and hard coordinating.
All right. The request for determination of applicability for 63 Strong Street for installation of a new deck. It's map of 173 lot 1.
get this over there again.
All right.
Is there someone here to speak to that tonight?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
I went through 2 weeks ago. So yeah, this is just, again, my simple drawing. My architect still isn't finished, but talking about approximately 10 tiers, okay, 6 across the front and 2 on the other side. And I've spoken with a few companies about doing helical piles, and their excavator is very tiny. It's 30 inches wide. So they actually can drive on, she had those?
Which one? The,
You took some photos from the back. So there is actually a little plateau that they can drive across here to put them in because their excavator can reach out. See here? Their excavators can reach out 4 feet. So that's the idea is to get, I'm trying to get it so that no one has to even go in the meadow. White Brook is right here. And although it doesn't run, I don't know if that makes a difference, but.
Sandy back there.
Very sandy, which is great for the installation. Because when they hit things, that's when it's bad.
Mhm.
And so the side is very accessible, so they can drive right in.
And that's coming on this building here.
Yeah, so it would be.
You can write on that if you want.
Sorry, please. They're looking at it this way. I'm so used to looking at it this way. So yeah, here.
Okay,
Here's White Brook.
right, okay.
But actually, that's it. You can see it's dry. So that only runs when it rains and a little in the spring.
Did you say how many helical piles it would be?
It's gonna be about 10, probably 6 along the front and 2 on each side.
Cassie, do we know if White Brook is perennial at this point?
I don't know. I think that.
Let me see that.
She's running from our. Pull up USGS stream stats. If you want to look at that.
It hasn't run in the 23 years that I've been there.
At some point, the definition becomes about the size of the watershed. So stream stats can tell us that.
Okay.
So in these pictures, where would the channel be? Is it further out or is it right here where the tree line is?
Okay. So the brook in here is over here.
Okay.
Going like this.
Yep.
Is that where you have there's a little bridge?
Yeah. Oh, is there a picture with it there?
I did see that.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, there we go. That's a great shot. That shows you where it is.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
And you're not asking for any trees to be removed? So if you come 10 feet out, how close are you to this one tree?
That's actually off to the right.
Okay.
Pretty close. Well, probably 6 feet. Maybe that's to the very corner, but I'm actually gonna put 45s on the corner. So there are going to be 45s. I would say the tree is out here. And there's one small one there, but that's about 20 feet out.
Do you have answers over there yet, Cassie?
I'm pulling it up.
And also, if you have minutes, can you remind us what we talked about last time?
Last time was my request for determination of whether I needed a request for determination. That was to make sure that I needed to get the RDA.
Yeah,
So
okay.
the question was, similar to the exemption we were just talking about, this one, it's closer than 50 feet away from, the channel of the white brook there. So I was like, okay, but it's right on the line. It's really close to being 50 feet away, but it's within it. So,
Yeah, so the maybe like these two piers are within 50 feet. 50 feet is like almost to the building,
Okay.
right? So this is, so yeah, these are, because the brook goes like this, right? This comes close to it, this corner. But it's also 16 feet above the brook. So these piers are what really is, within 50 feet.
Yep.
Because I did go out there with the tape measure.
Gotcha.
okay, so I generated the report and assuming this is the part of the probability, statistics, parameters, perennial flow probability, or is there another part?
Drainage area is the first thing. I think the drainage area is what's actually codified in the regulations.
Gotcha.
There's a flow volume also. So it meets the 0.5 square miles. And then the other piece is the flow rate at the 99% flow duration. August flow duration. Here we go. 99%. Yeah, okay, so it would be considered perennial, so we are in riverfront.
Is the exemption worded the same for that 50?
The exemption is for riverfront, yeah, so, but this is also the slope where you're gonna be putting the helical piers does not appear to be maintained lawn.
No.
Right, it's sort of naturalized.
Yeah.
Vegetation.
It's just sandy weeds.
Yeah. I don't know that we could consider that within the exemption anyways.
So if stream stats shows that it is perennial, you could still rebut it with certain evidence, right? Photo documentation or something like that. Got my regulations up here.
Does it matter at all also that helical piles aren't considered fill by DEP?
I guess that's a question. Yeah, so helical piles, they have a small footprint and there will still be plenty of sunlight getting underneath the deck, right?
Yeah.
And so the ground cover underneath there is going to stay like you're not doing any ground disturbance or anything or
No.
changing what grows under there. And it won't really, it's south, is that south facing?
North.
Oh, it's north facing.
But the sun comes up. So here's the back, it's facing like north, sun comes up here. And this is the highest part, so the sun would get in here, here, and then sunsets over here.
Okay.
So if we don't think that there's going to be an impact on the vegetation underneath, then I don't think that there would be an alteration.
Yep.
Because I would agree that the helical piers don't really count.
Count as an alteration.
And you will have the little vehicle coming through to install them, but
There isn't really growth up there.
okay.
I can show
The
you.
growth is, if you look, let me see if I can find a picture.
So a little bench area that they're going to drive across doesn't really have anything.
So just like doing that, 310 CMR 10.58 1, or no, 10.58 2A 1D, the issuing,
Yeah,
yeah, you found it?
the observation.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to next.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there's no alteration, then it's kind of moot, but if we think there is an alteration, then the documentation that it's not flowing for 4 days in a row would make it intermittent, and then we don't have a resource area.
Is this a small walk behind machine
Yeah,
for function?
yeah, it's hard to see it on the way where these are taken from, but you can, and you know, the vegetation is just starting to come back, but you can see even like, okay, there. You can see there's really not much at the top. And that what you see there, sort of like a little deck going around there, that's a construction deck to install these windows. Just coming out.
So, all right. So I guess for me, I would rather find that it not be riverfront so that, because, you know, shading by a deck may be a little bit of an alteration, even though, you know, if it was south facing, the chances that the like vegetation community would change would be lower than if it was north facing. But you wouldn't happen to have 4 days of photo documentation showing the stream not flowing by any chance, or could get that relatively quickly.
No, but I could do that.
Yeah, I don't have that now, but,
Was it flowing when you did your site visit, Cassie?
so I've done 2 site visits. One was originally to talk to you about it when you were just kind of give you some guidance, did she get an RDA or not? And I wasn't sure, so that's why I came last meeting. It wasn't flowing then.
Mhm.
And that was,
It actually doesn't flow unless it rains for a whole day.
Okay.
So it's basically a runoff at this point.
So this would say, so documented field observation shall be made by a competent source and shall be based upon an observation made at least once per day over 4 days in any consecutive 12-month period.
yeah, my other site visit was like, that was what, months ago, right? Not like a super long time, but certainly not within the last 4 days or 4 days of my other site visit for the RDA. So.
Yeah.
We need to have documented field notes and dated photographs of the channel. That would be how we would show that it's intermittent.
Is that something I can do?
Are you a competent source? I think that's what it is.
I guess that's my question. Because I could take the photos, I could document them, and then I could email them daily to Cassie so that it's
Or just
logged.
do it as a group or something.
You know, and the digital photographs are automatically dated,
Timestamp.
Right,
time-stamped, yeah.
I think that would be fine.
Okay.
It's confusing the way this is written. Over 4 days.
What else am I gonna do when I drink my?
I know it's not clear, I don't think they have to be consecutive days.
I wouldn't.
I think any 4 days in a year, you have to show that it's not,
Oh, God, I probably have that.
so yeah, if you have dated photographs already, I mean, we've got 2, well, do you have pictures of the channel itself though?
For this site visit, there's at least one. You can see the same dates.
Yeah.
There's at least one. For the other one, I have to
I don't
do
know,
that.
did you take photos that time?
I thought that I did, but maybe I didn't. I mean, I can attest that they were.
Yeah, my Google Drive has,
There's this one.
you know, my photos of the property for the last 10 years.
Yeah. And it has to be a non-drought period, so, and we're not in a drought now, right?
No.
So
16 and 17, I would avoid, but
if we were to rely on your old photos, then we'd kind of have to know a little bit more about each one of them. On the other hand, if you just went out, we've got 1 day's worth
You
of
should do it
photos.
in the next 2 weeks. And
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll just do it for the next 3 days.
Yep.
It's okay for them to be consecutive. just
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense.
So it needs 4 days of documentation.
We have one, so at
Yeah,
least 3
that's
more, but if you do 4, then whatever. But, I mean, I guess it'd be nice to have that for you anyway, so that, you know, we can know for sure that it's not riverfront area, and we're not like, you know.
Right, because if it's riverfront area, that it gives it to a different jurisdiction, basically,
Yeah,
where it has to follow certain criteria.
exactly. Riverfront area is a resource area that's protected, whereas buffer zone is just the review area for resource areas,
Okay.
wetlands and rivers and lakes and streams and things. So, yeah, it would probably be nice for you to know for your future purposes as to whether or not you're in riverfront area.
Right.
Yep.
For the purposes of this permit, we need to get that determination before y'all can vote to issue anything? Is that, okay?
Yes. Yeah. So could you wait till the next meeting for our
May 23rd is the next meeting.
Choice, right?
All right, so we do a motion to continue to May 23rd. Can I get that motion?
Motion to continue to May 23rd at 6 PM.
Can I get a second?
second?
Roll call vote, Commissioner August.
Aye.
Commissioner Buttrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Busa,
Aye.
Commissioner Whitmore. Aye. Motion carries. May 23rd, 6 PM.
Okay. So I will, we need contacts and then send you a picture of that again.
That's Eve's cat. Sorry.
That was mine, and I don't need it. Yeah, but you can keep it as a souvenir.
So it determines a perennial stream, 4 days of running water.
No, that's what we were looking at on stream stats. It's either it's mapped on the USGS map as perennial, in which case it's presumed perennial. If it's not mapped, then you go to stream stats and look at the size of the contributing watershed. If it's greater than for a mile, then it meets a certain flow threshold of, I think it's 0.1 cubic feet per second. Which seems really low, but I think that's what it said. Then it counts as perennial.
That's just recycling.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. Silly.
So perennial mean that it doesn't run all year, correct?
Perennial means that it does run all year.
Oh, that means it
Yeah.
does run all year.
Right.
So what is it called when it doesn't run all year?
Intermittent.
Intermittent, okay. Okay, thank you,
All
guys.
right, thanks. Have a good night.
See you too.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We want to take something out of order.
So,
What's that?
Is a fun show about.
Mhm.
don't have to, maybe you just go.
Okay.
It's the next thing I have something for.
All right, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just
Goodness.
asking
Oh, it's
about the shading.
Okay.
Or is that just a contour line? I can't tell.
That was an issue. Did you bring it back in?
Mhm.
Well, that's it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next meeting.
Requests for certificates of compliance, I think none.
None received.
Enforcement actions,
So I do have an update for 18 Pine Street. We've got making sure that they removed the rock.
okay.
And that was the main thing that was outstanding for this. To be removed and if the commission wants to, they can consider lifting the enforcement order. So sufficient.
I mean, that's all we really needed to have happen, correct?
Mhm.
So do we need a motion to lift the enforcement order?
I think so, yeah. There isn't like a formal mechanism to
Okay.
remove an enforcement order, so I think it's helpful and then I send a letter. That
Okay.
says that it was, it's been lifted at a meeting.
So can I get a motion that we are lifting the enforcement order on 18 Pine Street?
I'll move that we lift the enforcement order on 18 Pine Street.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Commissioner August,
Aye.
Commissioner Buttrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Busa,
Aye.
Commissioner Whitmore.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Oh. The other update for enforcement items is for 460 Street. I emailed them and mailed them the enforcement order.
Okay.
So now we're just waiting for them to give the planting plan and restoration plan.
All right. Open space updates.
Yep, so I got an email from Jessica Allen at Plan Stewardship Inc. And so she reviewed the cutting that Jay completed, and they're ready to complete the prep cut and the cut stem treatments. And then also clear around the apple trees, doing that like closer clearing. Working on a redraft of the proposal with all these updates. So we're waiting to get that. But they did want to ask if it'd be all right to leave the material that they cut, just to kind of pallet around the shrub islands that were created after you mowed.
Okay,
And because it'll just, honestly, it'll be cheaper.
sure.
And it kind of creates some like intermittent habitats, just that it would like be a problem certainly to leave it there ecologically speaking. And if the commission wants to, and Jay's willing, you could mow it again.
Yeah, those piles could be mowed and may go away, so.
Yeah, so,
So maybe again, in the fall, when it's a little drier again, just take another pass after they do all their treatments, and it has, part of a season to run through and see what works and what doesn't work.
What,
So, yeah, what are they leaving?
what cut material?
so, okay, so the first thing that happened was Jay went out there and mowed around the areas and we've left these kind of native shrub islands.
Yep.
And now they're doing a closer cut to get some of the invasives that got left behind, and then things around the close proximity of the apple trees. A lot of the apple trees are swamped over with invasives, and Jay couldn't get close enough to actually get those on his machine. So they are coming through and doing the fine cutting to make sure they've cut all the invasives. And now then they're going to come and do the treatment with herbicide.
And they want to leave the cut invasive material on site?
No, sorry. I think that there was other. I don't think so.
Because we don't want that.
No, I don't want to mow the invasive and spreading that all around, so.
I can get double check with her. I think that they would certainly not want to do something that would make their job harder.
Right.
Leave it behind. It must be other native material, but I'll ask if clarify
Okay,
that.
yeah.
That was like my assumption, but I'm like, oh.
What did you cut it with?
60-foot mower deck, brush hog,
What are they?
Did you say 60 foot?
60-inch.
I think you said foot.
I could have said,
Whoa,
that's big, isn't it?
that is quite a mower. I know.
I didn't say foot, but it didn't register to me.
Maybe 5 foot.
I'm like, it's Jay, of course it's something.
Of course, of
Anything's
course.
possible.
And he just owns that, because why not?
And what are they cutting with? I'm curious.
They might be cutting by hand.
They're probably cutting by hand because they're painting herbicide as they go, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever they take to do for cut stem treatment. Okay, but I'll ask them. So assuming that it's not invasives, then do I need to come back to them at the next meeting, try to get that approval, or does it sound like if it's not invasive material, then it's okay to leave it?
Sure, yeah, if it's
If
apple branches and things that they're just trying to clear around the trees and leaving that, that's not a problem for me. But, the bitter trees climbing all over some of those trees, and that needs to be not, blow the seeds all over the place.
Do we, I guess, so if it's apple branches, I wonder if we want that out, just,
Oh, because of fungus and,
yeah, just more for Russell.
yeah.
I don't
Right.
think Russell's worried about the small things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's too concerned about that.
Okay.
He did ask me last week whether he could mow some trails and kind of extend his art display into that area. I don't think it's a conservation answer, but it might be a city planner answer. Because he says because it's mowed now, people are going to be in there anyways during his art walks and things like that. So he was thinking of just mowing a couple simple trails and putting a couple random pieces of art out in that area.
I don't know if there's like, I guess my first thought is if they're going to be doing like this herbicide treatment.
Right.
I don't want there to be any.
Well, this wouldn't be probably until fall anyways. So let's get through the herbicide treatment, see where we are. I'm just mentioning that he asked me about it. I just said I'd bring it up, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's something we can give him permission to go on city property and
I'll ask Jeff.
I wondered too if there would be any liability for the city, either in terms of the value of the art or if people are being invited onto the property when we haven't had it set up yet for that.
Yeah, the liability issue for me was to sign a waiver that says if I ran myself over, that I couldn't sue the city, but
Right.
he may have to sign something like that just because he's going to use a piece of equipment to mow a 5-foot wide path. But as far as people walking on it, I mean, the community garden's the same lot and people are on there doing things all the time, so.
Yeah, I think I'm not an expert, but I think like public access on public lands, there's like kind of automatic,
Yeah, well, Jeff would know
protection
better.
or liability or something.
That's right. We don't need to have to answer that question, but
Yeah, putting art on it, I'm not sure.
I don't think it's going to be a big installation, but who knows?
It's not ADA accessible.
This is true.
Yeah, I'll ask.
All right.
And I'll ask about the material you left behind.
We just want to forget about where the property line is during the art and worship.
Okay, the next one. So we do have people here for this next item. This is for the,
To be.
it's 8.
Yes.
AB, excuse me. Folks here from my third community. So, if it's all right, you guys, can I just give a brief explanation to the commission and then you guys can take over?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this is for, there's a request for a change to this order of conditions. This one's for the invasive species management on the Lathrop community property. And basically, the commission is trying to determine today if this change is either a minor change and can be settled at this meeting, or is enough to have an amended order, which means they'd have to come back to the next meeting, or is big enough that it needs a new NOI. So that's just kind of a preface of have that in your headspace, what we're trying to figure out tonight. And then I can turn it over to anyone. Let me know when you want me to share that map, but otherwise whoever wants to speak to this first, go ahead.
Great. My name is Holly Smith-Beauvais, and I'm here representing the Lathrop community. I'm the Chief Financial Officer there. And we want to thank you for having us. And also, just to say how proud I am to represent such a wonderfully committed community to sustainability and the care of our land. So with that, I'm going to hand you over to Barbara Walvard, one of our wonderful residents.
Thank you. I'm Barbara Walvard. I'm a member of the steering committee of the Resident Land Conservation Committee, which works very closely with Holly and the management at Lathrop for the management of our land. And also online here is Lucy Baruch, who has worked together with Holly and me and our 2 consultants. She is also a member of the steering committee of the Land Conservation Committee and a resident. We also have our 2 consultants, Joan Deely of the Land Stewardship, Inc., formerly Politan Ecological Services, and Pete Westover of Conservation Works. We also have several residents who've been involved in the work of the committee, Sharon Grace and Kamala Brush and Susan Boone. Have I missed anybody? There are some blank columns from Lathrop. Okay, so here we are. So would it be helpful if I kind of walked you through the proposal that we presented?
Yes, I'll share it on the screen here as well.
Okay, so what we're trying to do is to amend our NOI in such a way that we add some other strategies for invasives removal. If you look at the map of our land, now, Cassie.
Yes, okay. Okay.
Here we are. You can see that part of our land is in the city of Northampton, but most of it is in Easthampton. And that the land is a mosaic of fields and woods and wetlands, with Bassett Brook running north to south on the west end. Up until now, starting in 2014, we have had an NOI to remove invasives on our land, and we've done so. We've got now about 50 acres of our undeveloped land from which we have removed invasives, and we continue to keep up with that. The fields have been farmed since at least the 1960s, and we have photos of that. The whole thing was a farm. And when Lathrop acquired the land in 1996, these fields that you see on here in their current boundaries pretty much were farmed, hay and corn. But gradually over the years, the agriculture stopped. And although when I got here 10 years ago, there was still hay and corn in these fields, but now it has stopped. And instead of letting those fields grow up, Lathrop continued to brush hog them to keep them within their old boundaries. So these fields have been here open within their boundaries for decades. Now, what happens when you let them grow up, however, if you don't brush hog them, is that, as we have seen in our own experience, they grow up with invasives. And now we could have the picture, Cassie, that's at the very last page of the document we submitted for discussion tonight.
I'm going to pull it up here in a second.
Okay. Yep, there's the picture. What you see in the back there is multiflora rose coming up in one of our fields where we haven't quite kept up with our usual brush hogging schedule. And this is what will happen. It'll be multiflora rose and autumn olive and brush honeysuckle. That's what will happen. And once that happens and those shrubs get big, now you have a much, much bigger invasives removal problem, as Joan Dealey will attest, because they've been working on our land for all this time. So in the past, our current NOI allows us to use hand methods and targeted herbicides. And what we would like to do is to add brush hogging and mowing to that arsenal of methods so that we can keep these fields and meadows as fields and meadows and keep the invasives down in them, so that what can happen is that the current environment, which is a lot of goldenrod and aster and Canada lily and canary reed, a mix of alien and native grasses, including little blue stem. There's native brambles in there. There's some smooth red straw, but it's a varied environment, a meadow. And what we want to do is to retain it in that state. The actual, the alteration here would be to let it grow up in invasives. So that's what we're asking, is to simply to add the words brush hogging and mowing to the arsenal of strategies that we can use for invasives removal on our land. Now, Joan, do you want to add anything to what I'm saying here?
I don't have anything hugely to add to it, but to emphasize Barbara's point that if those meadows are not continually maintained in an open state as they are now, they will just become a howling wilderness of invasives, and that's a whole nother level of management that we would have to start undertaking. And then we would also have lost the habitat value of an open meadow, because open meadows are not as common as they used to be, and as these meadows are functioning now, they're supporting, they're providing habitat for a whole variety of birds and insects and such. that would be lost if they were no longer kept open and just reverted to woody invasives.
Do you have anything to add here?
Yeah, just that I think the plan is exactly what's called for. Ideally, a fairly early mowing before the invasive set seed, and then one later in the year are probably best to keep these invasives under control. And as Joan said, you know, you've got a valuable situation here for pollinators and for a variety of wildlife. So it would be great to see these kept open.
In our proposal, we describe some of the methods that we will use to take care of the environment, like bringing the brush hog in only when it's dry, and mowing pieces at a time so that we retain in each field some cover and some food for wildlife, some place for butterflies to overwinter and all that. So we will be as careful with this brush hogging as we know how to be. I wonder if there are any questions from the commission.
Barbara, I was just trying to ask if the mowing's only going to occur in the fields that have been mowed in the recent past?
Correct. Those same fields were mowed all the way back forever, decades and decades, and they have their same boundaries essentially as old photographs from 1969.
But you're not going to extend those boundaries?
We will continue to mow. We're not going to mow any new stuff.
That's what I'm asking. You're not going to extend any boundaries to any other areas?
No.
Okay.
So what, I guess I'm not 100% clear. If you've been already brush hogging and mowing this, what has changed that you think that we need to act on your NOI?
We're just making sure that we are fully in compliance now that we are no longer conducting agriculture in those fields. I mean, they're being brush hogged, not hayed.
Got it.
Yeah, I think if this wasn't part of it, and probably should have been.
Okay.
And it wasn't, okay, so my memory is not what it used to be. We had a similar discussion of this like a year or two ago, and I don't remember when it was, but I think it was that around the time when the brush hogging stopped, when the cutting stopped?
Likely.
Yeah.
So you're asking when the cutting stopped?
I'm asking when the cutting stopped and if that was close in time to when we talked about this. I forget if it was I don't know. I forget if it was 2021 or 2022. or no, it wasn't 2022, or it was a 2020. Or was it 2019? It's just like one big solid year in my mind.
Yeah, right.
So you're asking when was the last time we brush hogged, or you're asking when was the last time we hayed?
I'm asking.
I think we're asking when we last talked about this
2021
site.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we last talked about it in 2021, and was the last brush hogging that around that time or the year before?
Okay, all right. I'm going to go to Lucy Baruch for this.
So the last brush hogging outside of the uplands was last summer.
Okay.
So yeah, we stopped last summer, except in the uplands.
We didn't ask you to stop, did we?
No, you didn't ask to stop. It was just the commission never really made a determination of if it needed to stop or not. And then, so as in an abundance of caution, they stopped because it was like floating. And then now they've withdrawn that NOI because that wasn't originally part of the NOI that they had submitted anyways. That was not a consideration, but it came up during
discussion.
Okay. Yeah.
We got to come back.
It's vaguely,
it should be addressed.
Slowly coming back.
Yeah,
I know it's a lot.
I sort of feel like we said something in the minutes that pertained to this, but I could be mixing it up with something else.
I don't think we made a decision on it.
Yeah. Like when you said that that stopping of the cutting is an alteration, I very much agree with that thought process, and I sort of remember talking about that in 2021 or whenever we last spoke about it. And maybe it's probably because we were wrapped into that other NOI that, yeah, maybe it didn't go anywhere.
Does the existing NOI cover the entire property?
Yes,
And the boundary for invasive management is the entire property?
yes, the summary of the proposal says the project is limited to approximately 125 acres of land, that's all we got, owned by the Lathrop Community, Inc. at 100 Bassett Brook. The project consists of the management of invasive plant species.
Okay, so we're not adding any area that would be a new,
No,
not extending the project area, so we don't have to deal with that problem.
no.
Yeah, and so probably when we issued the original order of conditions, which based on the file number was that
15.
5 years ago or 7 years ago?
7 years.
We probably understood that the mowing / cutting / whatevering was just something that happened, and that it was like just how things had always been done, and it was going to continue, and that the additional treatments and management was going to be happening on top of that. So like I kind of think that I feel like I even remember saying that you should just keep going with the cutting, but maybe we ought to just like
Consider a minor change.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all it is.
Yeah. All right. I'll move to consider continue mowing of, well, I don't even know if I would consider it a minor change because I kind of would think it was there in the background all along. But maybe, yeah, I guess we could call it a minor change.
Maybe safer.
Just to make it
Make it
official.
safer to say that
Yeah.
minor change.
Okay.
Are we saying mowing or brush? Is that
Same
better?
to me.
Well, not the same, but I
No,
think
I'm
both.
just saying it's not, they're gonna need to brush hog that.
Yeah.
Take out those invasives there. They're gonna need to brush hog the rows.
All right. I will move to consider the mechanized cutting of the field areas a minor change and consistent with the original order of conditions.
Second.
All right, all in favor, a roll call vote, Commissioner August, Commissioner Buttrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Busa, Commissioner Whitmore.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great.
Awesome. So what I can do is kind of just write a little letter to that effect. That's like minor change was approved, and then make sure that's in the file so that it's reflected that that's included in those activities. Oh, Lucy, yeah, your question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, what is the time frame for this? Barbara, did you talk to Cassie about this, the time frame?
Oh, the original NOI ends in 2023. And so would this minor change the time frame, or do we still have the NOI ending in 2023?
Or do we have 3 more years?
Yeah, or do we have 3 more years?
No change.
Yes, so 2023.
Okay.
So reach out to me a month before the expiration date. You want to extend it, just reach out to me and you just, you'll have to come formally get it extended.
At least a month.
At least a month.
Yeah, it's better to do it sooner.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
All right.
All right, thank you very much.
All right,
for,
bye, everybody. Thank you.
West and for understanding what we're about at Lathrop. Thank you.
All right. Compliance updates. Letter I.
Yes. 2 items. One is for the, last thing we talked about, they're doing invasive species management. Species management over there, and they presented the sites they wanted to use. The situation has changed slightly in that there's bittersweet growing in a mat been discovered in the area, so they want to use an additional herbicide specifically just for that. And let's see. It is
Can they just burn it?
vast land is the one that they want to use. And just a description. This is from Jessica Applin from Land Stewardship Inc. I observed more low-growing bittersweet throughout the site that was apparent last season. This is most likely because it's the first thing to grow in after the cut over the winter and hasn't been hidden by other plants yet. And it's a low-growing mat bittersweet. You need permission to use another herbicide other than rodeo. Rodeo is fine for everything else and works fine for the cut stem treatment of bittersweet, but not for the foliar applications. We'd like to ask permission to use the herbicide Vastland to do selective spot foliar treatments on the bittersweet only, in addition to the rodeo that will be used on everything else. And so, here's the safety data sheet as well. That's the original plan, and this is her little letter explaining.
Familiar with that, Julie?
I don't know this one.
I've not heard of it.
I think we need to find out if it's approved for use in wetland resource areas.
I'm almost positive that I've
Do you know it?
seen it in like vegetation management plans or something to, what's the name of the chemical there?
Triclopyr-choline.
Is there like,
Try.
It does say under certain conditions, treatment of aquatic weeds can result in oxygen depletion.
Toxicity of fish.
Yeah. So consult with state agency for fish and game before applying to public water, determine if permit is needed. I don't know.
Acute toxicity to invertebrates, aquatic invertebrates.
I think we need to
I'm working on
check
the,
with somebody.
I'm working on the fact sheet from the Department of Agricultural Resources here.
Mhm.
Right. So you got a percent aquatic.
That's the toxicity items there.
So this isn't something they can dig out.
It looks like they want to treat it.
What? Can I see it again?
This one? Which one?
Oh, yeah. Okay, it says it's for aquatic sites. This other one, so this is, yeah, this one I'm looking at is actually Garlon 4, which is triclopyr, but some acetic acid instead of.
I don't even know. I know that rodeo is approved for use in wetland sites. I don't even know who approves it. Is it a DEP?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I think it's DAR, Department of Agricultural Resources.
So that could be.
Oh, darn. Yeah,
Oh, this other one.
My recommendation would be to ask her to contact DAR or DEP and confirm that it is approved for use in wetland sites and provide us with that confirmation.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's the same thing as Garland 4 or similar, then this is from Mass DEAR. It says the application rates set up to 3 quarts per acre are permitted with a setback 50 feet from standing or flowing water, suitable for fish habitat. It's recommended for use in sensitive areas only at application rates of up to half a pint per acre. Setback restriction may be waived upon demonstration both to the Departments of Food, Agricultural, and Environmental Protection. Runoff concentrations for application with setbacks less than 50 feet do not pose a threat to fish. So I don't know.
I can definitely ask her for that.
Yeah, I guess we have.
Okay, sure.
Okay, cool. I will do that. Next request for this same project, different request. This is for the erosion controls that are still in place on site. Basically, the city is asking permission to have the erosion controls now removed. There's no more ground disturbance or work that's coming up. It's all done. I did a site visit on the 4th, on May 4th. I can here's the pictures here for you. I got a letter from the state planner, Jeff Bagg. Essentially, I'll read the letter here in a second, but essentially they want to remove the erosion controls now because the contractor is still around to do the removal.
right.
And if they wait longer,
They'll be gone.
then they'll be gone. They'll have to pay extra, and there's not grant funds to
But
do that.
everything looks stable, right?
Yeah, everything
I've been by
definitely-
there a few times, so.
Definitely was stable. I can read this letter for you guys real quick. So,
Which one? Which part? Oh, yeah, okay, never mind. So
yeah, sorry. And I can show the picture on screen there, like in color, it's easier to see. Let's see here. And here's Jeff's letter. It says, under each night, you have a request to remove the erosion controls on Ferry Street and writing to ask that you allow the contractor to remove the items. As you know, the city hired Gomes Construction through the bidding process in 2019. They have identified an anticipated completion date of all punch list items as early as this week. This would complete all their contracted responsibilities. Since this is a grant-funded project for which we've already received an extension, we need to be very mindful of the approaching deadlines around contractor payments and state reimbursements. It's important to allow them to do this upon completion of the work so as to avoid the city having to pay Gomes outside of the grants funds to remobilize solely to remove the erosion controls later. We expect to seek the certificate of compliance before the end of June. Currently, McMahon Associates is working to complete the as-built survey and the final submissions to the Office of Dam Safety for the certificate of compliance. So that's why that's waiting. Anyways, they probably do it all in one go. I know that's typical. Letter if anyone wants to see it.
I don't have any concerns about it. I mean, everything looks stable, so I don't know if we need a motion to do that or just.
I don't think you need a motion.
No, just say it's
I
okay.
just want to make sure, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, it's
That's fine.
good. Everyone else is okay with it.
it's fine to me.
Going back for a second to this issue, if Kathy gets confirmation that this is approved for use in aquatic systems or wetlands, we don't need to discuss it again, do we? I think she can just tell them.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
I
We
agree.
don't need to wait for us to meet again.
Cool.
Yep.
All right, cool. And, all right, we can go on to the next thing if you guys want, or
So
how do we look at these pictures?
40 Chapman,
Oh, yeah, okay, so yeah. the next
general
item-
business.
Well,
Oh, yeah, okay, go ahead.
yeah, we haven't gone down a list of compliance updates in a long time.
Do that if you like.
Just real, super quick.
Yeah, I don't have any.
She just highlights the ones that are usually the issue,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm just going to the highlighted ones.
So, well, the one that I, when we were talking about this, the pump house thing, like for an instant, I thought maybe we were talking about that.
Oh,
And then-
okay.
And then I looked on the list and saw that order of conditions expires like now.
Yep, it's coming up. So I've spoken with Michael Owens about that.
Yep.
And they're gonna come with certificate of compliance.
Okay.
So they have time until it expires to do that. Yeah, that's their plan going forward.
Which project is that?
The pump house station, it's
Okay.
item,
I saw it and then I lost it again.
oh my gosh, item 8H. So yeah, it expires
Yeah.
6/13/2022. And I've already, yeah, you said they're gonna go for the COC. Because it is, yeah, it's done. Yep. I'll let y'all know when we do that site visit.
Sure.
or anything.
Okay.
Anything else jumping out at you?
The trails along, whatever street that is. Is that Ferry Street? Just the ones that go Mount Tom,
No.
96.
96 East Street.
East Street.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
okay, yeah, stormwater permit only. That's going good?
It's going good.
That's going good.
Only have a stormwater report, a stormwater permit for it.
Yep.
Were you there for the Boulder incident?
What was the Boulder incident?
I don't know if it was on Instagram. There was a video of them like trying to move this big boulder off of the path. And then at the end, it just it was like, oh, but you don't know what happened. It was
Were
unclear.
they like in the woods?
I think so, yeah.
So that's not on the property. That's where it connects. There's the property and then there's the Eversource right of way. And then it connects to the New England Scenic Trail, potentially formerly known as the M&M Trail.
Uh-huh.
So they got an easement to just using hand tools connect to that trail.
Oh, nice.
Moving that boulder as part of it. They're using
Okay.
crazy like
Yeah.
I did see that video. Yeah.
Roll from someone's house?
I don't think so.
I think it just didn't, I'm guessing it just didn't go where they wanted it to. Because it moved finally and everybody was like, yes. And then there was like the sounds of disappointment, but you never knew where it went after that.
All I heard was
I wanted to know what happened.
I think it's how they want it to be.
Okay,
They
great.
finished the connection. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
Maybe they're disappointed that it didn't go rolling down.
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, I got no further questions, I guess.
All right, so
Yep.
general business, meeting minutes from April 11th. Do we have the right people?
We don't need the right.
We don't
Okay,
need
that
it.
was
Sure.
the right people.
Yeah. Hope that's not what sent us out of here. We've had if it was. I will move to accept the meeting minutes for the April 11th and 25th meetings.
Second.
All in favor, roll call. Commissioner August,
Aye.
Commissioner Buttrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Busa,
Aye.
Commissioner Whitmore.
Aye.
Motion carries. Minutes from April 25th.
We just approved both, didn't we?
Yeah, we just did
No,
both.
I didn't realize them both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's fancy.
Yeah, clever, right?
So
we can do whatever we want now.
Mom's not here.
She's probably watching.
Oh, yes, I'm sure. She's got her spare time. She can watch this.
She texted me about something over the week and I was like,
Nope.
not your problem anymore. You can come back if you want. Your problem again.
we do accept all public comments.
Yeah, right.
Okay, next one, 40 Chapin.
40 Chapin.
So if y'all remember, this was potentially a concern about stormwater. And then like maybe we were like, or I was not unsure if it was a violation of the stormwater ordinance or potentially the Wetlands Protection Act. Because there was a lot of work that was being done on this property. I tried, I've since spoken with the property owner. She's very forthcoming, was very helpful in explaining. So the house was remodeled and it was the drainage and parts of it were done incorrectly. So they're fixing what was done incorrectly, which involved, fixing the drainage immediately around the house and guiding it to this little wrap area. I'll show you the pictures. But so the question then remained, I think you guys felt comfortable saying that it was not a violation of stormwater ordinance. But then is it jurisdictional at all for the Wetlands Protection Act? So this is, coincidentally enough, the area that's like behind Reservation Road. So, are there wetlands between Reservation Road and Chapin? And took a lot of pictures out there. And there's no designated stream channel to me. It looks to me like potentially there's BBW. And a lot of the work that she did was outside of 100 feet extending from that, by my estimation, it's not an official delineation. But I can show you the pictures from the site visit. So, let's see here. So the question still is did a violation occur at all? If one did, is there anything that we want to request? The work is done. There's not anything else that she plans to do there in the way of ground disturbance. Sure. Oh. This is the area right around the house. Tree. That still needs to be filled over. So, you know, most of the lawn was disturbed as this work, but basically they installed a drain that goes from this behind the house area to in the corner. You can kind of see that rocky area.
And where would the resource area be in that photo? Is there one?
Oh yeah, so that in this photo to the left,
Okay.
there's the property line, but
Okay.
it wasn't lawn anymore, and then it becomes trees,
Okay.
and then for a while it's just regular woods until there's a clear goes down in like the topography goes down, and then there's bunches of like skunk cabbage, and it looks kind of wet.
Okay.
You know, just on the surface. So a closer look at this little drainage situation. Okay, so then there was, so there's work immediately around the house, at least that. Then there was this trench that was always there. They kind of cleared it. It had been like backed up, and then you'll see pictures. I kind of walked up here, and it just is kind of just coming from the ground. There's no like source that was immediately discernible, and I walked way up into the woods. See that too every time. This is a touchscreen, and I forget every single time. So. Okay, so you can see that goes to the rest of the property. So now this is behind her house, in between Chapin Reservation Road, and you can see, you know, there's water on the ground, and there's skunk cabbage growing, trees, and there's just kind of this depression in the land where it comes down. That was 60 feet away from the edge is where this first trench was. That's right along the property line. That's me standing 60 feet away from where I thought that the edge of DBW might be.
Okay.
It's 100 feet away. So 100 feet is before you're reaching the house. Just take this for sure. So, okay. So this is me standing away from her. So that where she's standing is where I was perceiving the edge to be. And then there's this tree. This is like the extent of the previously maintained lawn.
So the disturbance was only in the maintained lawn area?
Correct.
Except for that trench.
Except for the trench thing.
Well, yeah, and that's the way it's explained to me is that's been there for some time. And so it was like
But they cleared it.
Yes.
Right. And did you follow that to see where it goes? Because it had water in it.
Yeah. Yep.
Is it a stream?
I have a picture of that. It's not. It just kind of is coming from the ground. I didn't find any stream up ahead. This is where it started being wet, and it just. I walked up here. I don't know if I have a picture, but there's not really anything up above. It just kind of starts becoming quite wet here.
And this is another Mount Tom situation.
No.
So.
This time of year, it's all coming off the mountain, so I hear that. And so yeah, so it's an interesting situation for sure. This is looking back from where I was. That previous picture was taken. Just kind of goes down this way.
How wide is that trench?
It's pretty wide in that.
It does. It looks like
3+ feet there.
In this spot, yeah, and then it kind of comes back down to not being that wide again.
How did they clear the equipment, or just do it by hand? I don't really see.
I think it was by hand.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of disturbance from the machine.
Yeah. It kind of like this tree is here, and that was the area where it got wider, and then immediately gets to like a foot again.
Okay.
Just also pictures. This is up above. I went up higher to see if I could find like some stream headwaters or anything. It's just kind of this more, wetland area to me. And it becomes the right of way and it disappears.
Sorry, that was upstream, you said?
Mm-hmm.
of the trench?
No, it's kind of to the right more. So this seemed like it didn't seem to connect much to anything at all. And then the other area where she was standing with the measuring tape, I kind of followed that up to see if it just kind of keeps being a wetland area until you get to this Eversource right of way. So.
It's kind of hard to tell with the pictures where different things are.
I know, yeah. Let me see if I can pull up Mass Map right here and do it that way. Just kind of get-
I mean, it seems like it's the main part of the disturbance, it seems like was all in lawn, in which case, unless it was riverfront, we would have no concern with, right?
Okay.
Yep.
With that trench thing.
And this is pretty clearly not a perennial stream. I think we know that, but whether it's a stream at all that they clearly altered, if they cleared it out and rechannelized it, is the question. And I don't feel like we have a good answer to.
The area where it leads to, it also just kind of disappears. Where that trench leads to, it leads to the extent of her property and then just kind of spreads around again.
Comes out of the ground and then just dissipates, yeah.
So it's kind of just like that, this extent of her property line that there is this exposed where you can see the water. And then I have a picture from that area where the trench goes to. Yeah, it just, there's no, I didn't see any channelization after this where it goes to. It kind of just gets wet at this end of her yard. And she plans to do like some plantings in between the two property lines to help.
Was it standing water or flowing water?
This water, that was definitely standing.
That was
But then if
standing.
you were like in the grass, you could also see wetness. You know, it's just kind of seemed to be dissipating over the area, I suppose.
Was the water flowing in the channel they dug out?
Yes, yeah.
Flowing from
Coming out of the ground.
coming out of the ground and going back into the ground.
Yeah.
Weird soils and typology in town, that's for sure. I've seen this in a couple other places. Yeah, one of the solar sites, Park Street Solar, I think, had something like this going on where White Brook disappeared and Pomeroy Meadow Conservation Property. There's a dingle that comes up towards my neighborhood and you'll see the stream and it just goes into, it's so sandy, it just sucks right into the ground and then pops out again someplace else. Yeah.
I mean, I guess my next question in an enforcement sense. Well, I mean, I guess it needs to be determined whether or not this trench is like a stream, and that would change the jurisdiction. If it's not, and it's all happened in buffer zone lawn, what would need to happen for enforcement? Like the work's done, she's not going to do anything else now. But
If it's all been done in lawn, there's no issue.
okay,
I think the trench, it seems to me that the trench is the only potential question about whether there's a violation.
Yeah.
But what is it? Can it be a stream if it's coming out of the ground and not coming from anywhere?
But when they cleaned it, did they make it wider? Did they
Yeah, it's hard to.
alter it?
I mean, I definitely altered it if they've scooped it out. But it sounds like probably somebody dug that trench at some point to capture and route water that would have otherwise gone towards the house.
Right.
So, and where is it in relation to the tree and lawn?
the trench,
Yeah.
Still.
it's basically right along, it's hard to think about it, but it's basically right along the property line.
But so where is that in relation to the lawn, the existing lawn edge versus being in the woods?
Oh, I would say that is lawn edge. Yeah, it's right, it's like, there was no evidence of trees being closer to the house than the trench. And then it becomes trace. That makes sense.
And you followed it up gradient and didn't find anything else.
Yeah, that one picture is kind of illustrates it the best, that it just disappeared.
I don't know, it's hard without being there, and it seems like it's probably a tricky situation.
Yeah, it
If
doesn't,
you are there, so.
Yeah, it's, I'm not creating an official delineation, that's for sure.
Right.
does not fit neatly into the Wetlands Protection Act or anything. I mean, it's,
Or it may, but it needs somebody to delineate it to find out if it does.
There'd be no other way to find pictures before?
I don't-
Before they did work?
I mean, she might have some, but I don't know that she would, because she wasn't, I can ask her, but she wasn't, able to actually like move into the house for quite some time. And I don't know if she would have before pictures, but I can ask.
There's nothing open at this point. It's all closed up and
This trench is how it is gonna be. The
yeah,
trench
so
is how it is.
everything's finished. There's no disturbance occurring at this point. It's whatever's done is done.
Yeah, that's correct.
I bet that trench was there and they just cleaned all the debris out of it to do what it was originally intended to do, but
And that one tree, that one big tree, if you look at it, could that be potential hazard from them cleaning it out? If you look, there's this one big tree,
Yeah,
you see like one root in the middle of the trench.
I know what you're talking about.
it's a huge tree. I don't think
Yeah, that's
that-
fine.
Yeah.
I don't think that little trench would hurt that huge tree.
And yeah, there is this root kind of going across, I don't know if it's my cursor at all, but I can't. There's a root that does extend, like covers the whole trench, and that might be why it's kind of backs up here. And then when it rains hard enough, it can go over.
Maybe that much water on the root system might be more of a problem than.
Cassie, can you pull up stream stats and just see if they have anything that?
So this is the one that we were looking at, in my opinion, at Reservation Road. And the one
Okay.
that we were looking at, when I was there, I was like, this is the area that I feel
Right, okay.
walking around.
It's parallel to Chapin.
Do you want me to try to, I don't know, do this?
Nope.
do this one?
No, I just wanted to see if they showed an actual
Right.
channel line at all. If there's nothing, and what, can you pull up the DEP wetlands on Mass Mapper too?
Yes. Let's do it.
Oh, we don't need them all.
Linear feature.
Did anything show up?
I didn't see anything.
This is the one, this is Route 17, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yep, nothing.
Nothing. If Cassie didn't see anything and there's nothing mapped, then I think we can probably assume that there's not a resource
Okay.
area.
Well, there's the 100-foot buffer zone.
Not if it's not bordering to anything.
Not even just the BBW itself that was up there?
It's only BVW if it's bordering to a stream.
Right.
So it sounds like it's probably just isolated wetlands, but not isolated wetlands that would meet our definition. So I don't think it's jurisdictional. I don't even
Wow.
think there's buffer,
Well,
essentially.
what is the,
Because it's more than 100 feet from that stream, right?
yes,
I mean, it was a giant BBW coming up from that stream.
that's what I was maybe thinking. I don't know.
Oh, do you think it would be connected all the way through there?
I really don't know. It could be, it could not be. I mean, we can look at there. Not really. I mean, yeah, it's really hard to say because it's.
Yeah, it could be.
But it was, I didn't walk from here to there.
Right.
I did not connect them to see if they connected. I mean, it seems like it just stays wet down here, and so maybe it connects down there. Hard to say.
I mean, it's right on the edge of the maintained lawn, and it's in and of itself. Well, which direction was the flow going?
To the left here.
To the left. Yeah. Well, I don't know.
But it would have to, right? Because that's downhill.
Downhill.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And then it was just kind of disappearing. I kind of feel like it's.
And at best, you think it was in buffer?
Yeah, buffer zone kind of comes up about halfway through the garage here. So a lot of the work that she did was outside of the 100-foot buffer zone, if we want to say that's where the BBW edge was.
Do you know what the trees were? And why did you decide on where you thought the edge of the wetland was? Because of the change in slope?
Yeah, slope down.
Yeah.
Like a foot or two. It seemed like a pretty good change.
So yeah, again, as long as we don't think that was an actual stream channel, I don't think it's in a resource area. And if it was in buffer, it was in buffer at the edge of the lawn. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm inclined to pass on this and just say, probably wasn't a violation other than just some buffer zone work or whatever. That's.
Yeah, I can let her know too, like if she has future projects, like to reach out to me, stuff that might be in the 100-foot buffer zone. Yeah.
Okay.
And she seemed really forthcoming about all that. So good to know, like she wanted to know, so.
Yep.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, next one. Yeah, new commission chair.
Commission chair.
We get new chairs?
These are so fun.
It's the green one.
These chairs are probably older than me.
Yeah, so there's options. You guys have options. So my understanding of it is that you can keep having an acting chair until you want to decide to have a chair. That's what we did tonight. We had an acting chair. You can set up a revolving chair, so it's a different person every time. It kind of rotates through. Jeff had a good question of like, could it be revolving just for some people? Like, so that everyone has to do it, or co-chairs, but then maybe you switch, the co-chairs would switch off each time, or I wouldn't want to have two chairs at each meeting. That seems like it could be confusing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
I meant switch.
Right, yeah, we switch off. Or you just have a new chair and go from there, and then.
Or do we have any volunteers?
As long as she doesn't call me.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do it if you want me to.
I don't mind doing the meetings. I don't mind chairing the meetings, but if someone calls Cassie and says, hey, I got this issue,
That's basically the only extra thing that ever happened.
Right.
Sometimes I would.
call Melissa and say, hey, this happened. What should I tell them? What should I do?
I would ask for advice.
That's where I don't think I have the qualification to answer those questions.
But you might call Julie anyways, even if she's not chair.
Yeah.
No, maybe. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you. But yeah, if you want to be the actual chair, that'd be awesome. It'd be nice to have a set person.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
I'll move to make Julie the chair of the Easthampton Conservation Commission.
Second.
All in favor? Does she get to vote for herself?
I don't think I should vote for myself.
I'll vote. Commissioner August? Commissioner Buttrick?
Aye.
Commissioner Whitmore?
Aye.
Commissioner Ryan? Aye. Motion
All right.
passes.
Change seats.
Ceremonial seat swap.
Congratulations, have cookies.
Thank you.
You earned it. All right, cool. Well, yay.
And again, I don't mind doing meetings if,
Oh, yeah, I will definitely
Just-
call on you if
you
I'm,
can't-
if I can't be here.
can't do something or can't be here or whatever, don't stress over it. It's just that, don't call me crazy questions.
Fair enough. I won't. Okay, next one, stormwater permit reviews. This is just a quick question that Dan Murphy had for me. So the way it works right now is that when we get a stormwater permit application, Dan Murphy gets the application as well, and he calculates the bond amount. Would it be possible to have the applicant include their calculation of what it would be, so then he can just confirm it? This is saying it's a lot to figure out sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Sounds fine to me.
That
I
sounds
didn't know
fine,
if that
yeah.
was like, there was a rule that it had to be one way or the other, so I just want to make sure.
But he's got to look at it and say, yeah, $30 doesn't sound like enough.
Yeah.
Make a decision.
Well, what does the bylaw require them to submit? Because that's the question. Does it require an amendment to the bylaw?
Have to look at it again.
The bylaw needs like.
Overhaul?
Not COVID. Yeah, it needs.
Did you say not COVID?
Yes, probably do for an overhaul.
So I can double check the bylaw, but it might not say, it might just be like that needs to happen, or that this commission sets a bond amount and that's how we've been doing it. So I don't know what it says.
Yeah, if it says that we set it and there's no requirement that they submit anything, then it may need to, the bylaw may need to be amended to require that
Okay,
as part of the permit submission,
I see. Okay.
don't you think?
I guess, yeah. I mean,
If there's a line in there that says we can request additional information, that would give us the leeway to do it, but
Yeah, that's good.
there'd have to be something that gives the city permission to require more than what's spelled out as the requirements.
Basically, I'm looking to see if it says either explicitly that it needs to be that the city generates that or does that calculation itself, or if there's something that says we can request additional information.
I think so.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
yeah, I think the ordinance probably needs a little bit of a overhaul to address the enforcement questions and that sort of thing. And, who knows if there are phase 2 stormwater changes that could be added to it.
I'm just realizing there's all these footnotes and there's all these things that are at the discretion of the chair, so watch out next time. Melissa had all this power written in to change the order of things.
Presentation and speaking times may also be limited discretion. I'm surprised you didn't tell me to shut up.
Okay, so that's something else. Do we want to I don't know how you'd approach the stormwater ordinance being overhauled or changed, or is that something the commission would?
It's not is it who wrote it?
Well, I know you were involved. I thought.
It was an ad hoc committee that Pioneer Valley Planning Commission got together. They Patty Gambrini kind of
Yeah.
oversaw the whole thing, and then it was the city planner, a representative of the planning board, the city engineer at the time, and me representing the Conservation Commission.
But who has to approve?
City council, I think.
City council.
And who can put forward a revised version? Who's the official authority for stormwater? Do both we and planning have to put forward an amendment there?
That's a good question.
I guess
That's another one of those weird jurisdictional questions that no one ever knows how the stormwater bylaw works.
Yeah, I mean, I think the right thing to do would be to get, how would I do it? I guess what I would do would be to get Jeff and or Dan Murphy to, agree that it needed changes and reconvene the ad hoc stormwater committee and then like start talking about if there were to be revisions or not. And then how formally the process happens, I don't know. I guess I would think it would just be like, somebody could like bring it to there's probably an ordinance committee of the city council, right?
Yep.
Probably bring it.
That's my question though, is who has to bring it?
Well,
Who has the authority to do that?
So it'd probably be finding who's on the ordinance committee for the city council and then suggesting to that person that the bylaw needs revisions.
They champion it. Like if it's anything like with the stormwater ordinance, where we had, the committee was kind of formed, it was made of, people from all these different boards who seemed relevant. And then the planning department was kind of like championing that effort.
Which ordinance?
Do you mean solar?
Solid, is that what it is? Yeah, that's what I meant. So yeah, and that's not obviously isn't in place yet, but it's all through zoning. So it made sense for the planning department to pursue it. And my understanding is that it was Curtis, he's no longer here. So it's Jamie.
He's not?
No, yeah. He moved on, he got a job with Mass DOT.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was terrible. Curtis Weeman, he was one of the assistant planners. He's really good. No, new person, Eli Block. He's also really good. He's nice. But yeah, so he was kind of championing that, and now Jamie Webb has taken over. And so she's been presenting it to other boards just to look at it. And then it's going to get taken to city council. I was assuming by her. So it'd be like a staff person potentially as well. I don't know.
Does, our stormwater bylaw doesn't give anybody the authority to promulgate regulations, does it? That's too bad.
Well, I can ask Jeff, because he generally knows how these things, so, and let y'all know if you want to try to pursue a change in stormwater ordinance, we can try. I'm happy to help do that administratively, so. Okay. Cool.
How long are hybrid meetings good for?
How long are we to do hybrid?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe forever.
Discretion of the chair.
If it's not at the discretion of the chair, that was determined by the city.
So, yeah, I don't know, but so far, so good. It seems like relatively, I haven't had.
Last time this mic was working, it's not working now? Okay, because this one wasn't really working correctly, but that one was. So then people who are sitting here could be heard by that, but if you probably can't have both, or you're gonna have.
I still don't know why that was happening.
Yeah,
that was super crazy to me that was doing anything at all. Okay. So I don't know why that happened. And you can see one of them is being removed.
Yeah.
Because it was once we moved that over, this was over here before, and it's making it hard to hear that.
Yeah.
So I moved it over there. This was for other meetings that were just recording it, because some people have meetings in here and they still need to be recorded, but they're not. You can attend virtually.
Yeah.
So they use the old setup that always used to be, and that was like pointing right at it. It was like super loud. So I don't know why that happened, but the last meeting was done using this, and it seems like people could hear. So now that we've moved that, hopefully it works. And I don't know why it stopped working that first meeting. That was all bizarre to me. But so far so good. I haven't had any other complaints from the public about it. So you guys are experiencing it. It seems like the people could hear us all right. Yeah, I don't have any other notes about it unless anyone else does.
Nope.
Okay, and I have one more thing that was on
it's
here.
on the agenda.
I know, I just a quick question. And I just got it today.
Okay.
So that's why it's not. But the new commissioners, there's 2 new commissioners who are up for appointment. They're getting considered by the city council's committee for appointments. And that's going to be on May 11th. They asked if there's any comments we wanted to submit or a general recommendation. I think previously you guys said you wanted to recommend both those candidates. Is there anything that was a concern when we reviewed them before? I just want to make sure, would it be appropriate? Do you want me to just send them a letter that says you guys recommend them, or I can go to the meeting? I don't know.
Really interview anybody. We just, looked at a description. So
Yeah, just, I don't know. They usually just put people on the commission without asking us.
that's correct. That's how
No, we've
it's.
never been asked before. It was interesting that we were asked.
That's how I got it.
So what's wrong with these people that they're asking us?
No, I think it's like I don't know how new of a system it is. It's new to me, obviously. So this is how they want to do it going
Okay.
forward, making sure that y'all are at least aware and then have seen these.
Usually we're just told that here's your new commission members.
Right.
You can tell we're aware and we'll accept the new members willingly.
No
Yes.
immediate concerns, sound like, correct, from the previous group.
No.
Cool. And I'll probably write them a letter, and if they need more, then I'll go and say that. Awesome. Oh, God, unless anyone else.
So I'll hit 7.
It's a 2 more, this
Yes.
2 vacancies, yeah.
We never seem to last at 7 for very long. It's, you know,
Yeah.
but
Motion to adjourn?
so moved.
We need to do a roll call vote?
Yep.
Oh, boy. Commissioner August,
Aye.
Commissioner Buttrick.
Aye.
Commissioner Busa,
Aye.
Commissioner Whitmore.
Aye.
Motion carries.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.